This time we go to agenda item 7B, discussion of personnel pursuant to section 551.074, chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code regarding possible leave of absence, suspension, termination, and/or resignation of city manager and possible action in open session regarding same.
Well, since I was unaware of this item until after it was presented to me on Monday, I really don't know exactly how to proceed on it, so I take my direction from the city attorney's office or the council.
On how, it's not for you to take action, it's for the council to take action.
No, I'm just asking, what would you like me to address? This is yours. Is there any comments that I need to make?
It's not up to me, it's up to what the council wants you to address. Okay, council, it's anything that you want him to address at this time.
Questions of council?
I have no questions at this time.
Questions?
I would just like to know if there's anything that he would like to set clear before council.
I'm glad that you asked that question, and the answer is absolutely and yes. And I do want to take an opportunity to talk about what's been done here since I've arrived, because I think that's what is the most important issue for this council to be considering, and for the citizens that are here today supporting me, as many of those have been doing throughout the week and throughout the 6 months that I've been here. So I assume then I can take this opportunity to do so. So I'll talk about the items from my evaluation then, since I've been allowed to address these issues. What I'd like to talk about first is when I was brought here, this council and this mayor directed me with two primary objectives in mind. And so for the first 3 months, I focused on those two objectives. The objective number one was the budget. Okay, to help with the budget and begin reviewing the needs of the departments. The overriding principle that this council and this mayor gave me in the directive in making every decision that I make was to improve the conditions and quality of life for every citizen of Eagle Pass. And I have maintained true to course in making that my mantra for making my decisions. I think that I've made 100% completion on those objectives. I reviewed every department and every line item on the budget, as you will know, some days staying until midnight, including personnel. And I also found that, unfortunately, I had entered the budget process too late to truly affect it, so we'll be doing some budget amendments. But I think we were also able to find several areas of improvement, and I'll identify some of those in a few moments. But we did get to meet our two primary objectives, which was evaluation of the departments and budget, and I'm proud to say that those both worked very well. In addition to accomplishing those two areas, as all of you know, I had no guidebook or no direction or no information prior to my arrival here. I arrived with absolutely no keys and no projects, nothing to guide my decisions forward. So these are the things that I took as priorities for this council based on their desire to help their citizens. In the first 3 months, a portion of what we accomplished is we did have the first Employee Appreciation Day, and I think that did a lot to start working towards building morale among your employees. And I think that morale continues to build to this day. We also executed and finally picked up the UP easements and have started construction on your truck route, and that is about 90% complete, but I'll let Hector Chavez address that if it's any lower than that. It should be at 90%. And then we reviewed, with the help of our city attorney's office, information on how to proceed on the 2nd Street Apartments demolition, which had been sitting for approximately 10 years. I was able to start that demolition, and it is still currently underway. I initiated an open door policy to handle all issues and problem resolutions for the constituents of the members of this council. What I mean by that is anyone who wanted to see me could come by my office, and if they were willing to stay, I would see them before the end of the day and handle their complaint. And I've done that effectively. Let's see. I restructured the Human Resources Department, and we have some very serious issues that are ongoing in the department, but that have been corrected at this time, but will have to be managed sometime in the future and handled. We restructured our bridge department. We also had some serious issues there. For example, children were not being charged. They were going under the bars, and this has been going on for years. And so your residents are very upset that we're now charging their children. However, they were supposed to have been charged the entire time, and that's one of the reasons you're seeing increased revenues on your bridge. Not because there's actual increased pedestrians, but we're actually following the rules that you guys had indicated and had asked them to follow originally. So with the help of Marga Lopez, we've been able to start to improve that particular department. We've restructured the code compliance department. We did a campaign around code compliance, and the city is visibly cleaner. I think there's a pride that's taking place, and I'm glad to have been a part of that. We still have some issues there. The code compliance department does have some needs, and they're going to need some equipment, and we'll be reviewing that, and I have a proposal to that effect to make to the council later this year. I restructured the credit card processes and collected every credit card and redistributed them to the department heads with new credit cards, and initiated a checks and balances system so that we could make sure that there was no fraud on those credit cards. That has worked well as well, and that has really been implemented and assisted by the finance department and Gloria Barrientos. We also have begun restructuring the purchase order process, which now has to be approved by 5 individuals and has a checks and balances to make sure that the money was budgeted for the item prior to purchasing the item, the way that that process should work. We have restructured the IT department, and I think we have 2 very competent individuals working in that area. It will have to grow, but they're doing it on their own now, and I'm very proud of both of those individuals. We've restructured finance, as you know. Finance has been technologically disadvantaged for many years, and the one way to make our finance department more efficient and more effective and more transparent is to advance it in the areas of technology. And we're going to be seriously looking at that, and we budgeted for that, and we've already started down that road. We created a grants area for the city where we could formally apply for grants and bring in money that could then be used for the needs of this community. And I'm proud to say that Isabel is doing a great job. However, she'll be a mother sometime in the near future, and I'm sure we're going to miss her presence during that time. But she has already, on her first grant application, secured a small grant in the amount of $69,000. She did that application in 1 week and filed it. The application was approved as is on its first filing, which is rare for Eagle Pass, and so I think we're going to see a real trend there. We also moved the Parks and Recreation Department back to the Multipurposes Center where they belong, which enables them logistically to handle their job better. It was an idea that was given to me by their Parks and Recreation Department Director. I agreed with it, and it has worked well. We have also structured the ICT to work a little better. We certainly are starting to utilize the facility, and the community is starting to utilize it, and we are starting to see the results, and hopefully we'll be able to staff it further in the future.